do you feel basically about them qualifying and?
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a U.S. soccer fan. Job well done. It's hard. It's very hard. They did a great job. Our guys helped. Jordan helped. Christian helped. So very proud of them.
You have a few players that would be viewed as maybe on the bubble to make a final roster, or not maybe necessarily locks to make final roster. So how does that impact the way that you approach this?
Doesn't affect
to
anything.
Help them out. Though.
It doesn't affect anything. I mean, Greg is going to choose who he feels is his squad. I believe that both Christian and Jordan deserve to be there. That's just my opinion.
So there's nothing different that you can.
We can't, Jada. That's not. I have no control over it. So we're going to do what we do. We have a good process. We have a great team. We're going to try and win against Minnesota. We're going to try and advance in Champions League. We'll let our play dictate what you guys think about our team, what Greg thinks about our team and players. We'll do our talking on the field. How about that?
Based on travel schedules this week, do you know who is, if there's any potential of anybody missing Saturday's game in Minnesota because of travel?
No, everybody will be there. Some guys are meeting us directly there in Minnesota today.
And then on Tuesday you mentioned about Yamar not so good. What's going on with Gomez Andrade?
Look, those high ankle sprains are tricky. What I would tell you again is that look, muscular injuries, you got to have a program. They got to strengthen it. As soon as he can put a bunch of tape on it and run around and be effective, that's the measure for those ankle sprains. So I'll keep updating you if you keep asking me the questions, but he's not going to play in Minnesota, and he's probably not going to play the first leg against New York. But if he can strap himself up and get out there and play, he'll be back as soon as the pain allows him to.
And then on Rui Diaz and Nico, you said that they're healthy. What will it mean to have them back?
It's going to be great. It's going to be great, Jackson. I mean, who wouldn't want those guys back?
How does it change things offensively? I mean, we had Joe Paulo and Preki. They were both talking about getting more offensively yesterday. And so how do they factor in, and what specifically do they
I don't know the stats, but Raul's been pretty good since he's been here. And Nico could be creeping up on our all-time goals and assist list for our club. So they're both pretty high up there.
Have you talked to Javier Arriaga? Is he flying in from Ecuador?
He's here. He's here. Made a big deal out of him qualifying as well, Jada. No disrespect to the U.S. and when we meet him in Minnesota, we'll do the same. It's a big occasion for Ecuador or Javi. It's a big deal.
Joe Paulo talked about the importance of, in his words, taking Reynoso out of the game in order to really play well against Minnesota. You know, how do you do that, and what else can your team do to?
Well, it's hard because he's a good player, but just an awareness. I mean, look, it doesn't have to be one guy runs around with Reynoso. Those days are long past. But the closest guy to Reynoso when he has the ball, go put a little pressure, make him pass it to someone else. That's the best way to do it.
Obed was with the U20s. What did you hear as far as reports on how that went for him?
Good. His first game was good. He started. Second game came on 30 minutes. He says he scored the goal. There might have been some controversy there. I didn't see the replay. He said he got his toe up to it last. But 5-3 against River after they were down 3-0 shows that American players are resilient. They don't quit. Okay, so good reports. I talked to him today. He's in good spirits. He's young. I mean, travel doesn't affect him as much. I mean, he's just happy to be back and happy to be playing.
And it sounds like they were playing not like their U20s, but like a second team.
You guys would know more. I don't know what they rolled out there, Jeremiah. But I've seen some U19 games when I was scouting Ymar a couple years ago. Those games are hard. Because what you have to remember is players down there, they're a product of their environment. And that's the golden ticket out of, sometimes poverty, sometimes low income. Look, there's probably some rich kids that make it as well. But for a lot of those kids down there, that's their meal ticket to bigger and better things. So all those games are hard. So that's a good lesson for, you know.
For Minnesota, you mentioned, field and rail. So, I mean, is there any other factors that you're kind of focusing on as far as getting the win against them?
Well, we're focusing on a lot of different ones. I won't bore you with all the details, but, defensively, make sure we don't give up a goal. That's always our tactic away from home. Stay compact, active defending, immediate chase, all of those things. We're going to press high on goal kicks. We're going to do the normal things. And then offensively, just try and incorporate Nico and Raul back within the existing group. Try and be dangerous. Try and be good on set pieces. All the normal stuff.
With the players that are coming back, they're not limited at all, right?
There might be some time limits based on travel and, how many games they've played, stuff like that.
How would you assess the job Jackson has done filling in for Ymar?
Thanks for that softball. I'm going to have to temper my comments in case he's listening. He's done really well. I mean, he's exceeded our expectations, let's put it that way. What does he have? What has he got? What makes him, burst onto the scene, relative unknown? What was his maturing process through a couple years of college, 4 years of college? How was that different than a young 15, 16-year-old kid? I mean, there's a lot of different parts to that story, Jeremiah, but you're seeing an end product of a kid who's very smart. I told you guys this already. It's not just his passing, the technical piece, how he passes the ball. It's always firm. It's the right pace. It's the right, to Allen's right foot when a defender's on Allen's left shoulder. It's all those little details, but it's the decision-making of who he's passing the ball to is what sets him apart a little bit. And where he got that from, I don't know.
No. But how are they, do you have to change, or does it allow you to change? What is, I guess, how do Ymar and Jackson impact the way that you guys actually play?
I don't think we changed drastically. I mean, look, Ymar has a ton of strengths that maybe Jackson doesn't. Jackson has some strengths that maybe Ymar doesn't. It's just all a matter of who you pair them up with and how the team... I mean, the overall tactics are baked in. This is what we want to do. Now, if we want to play out from the back, maybe Jackson finds a few more passes than Ymar. But then defensively, we need Ymar because he's so good at what he does, and maybe he's a little bit ahead of Jackson. So we still try and do the same. That makes sense?
On that token, what's next for Jackson? What do you want to see him can he continue to grow at?
Consistency. I want to make sure he stays consistent because the sample size isn't that big yet. And then certainly learning the smaller, tricky, crafty opponents, making sure he doesn't let guys get behind him, his 1v1 duels when they're dribbling at him. All of those things takes time. The speed of the game's a little faster than Michigan.
How quickly do you begin to, give a guy like Raul Ruidíaz minutes to, give him some rhythm,
I'm
but
going to
have
give
to
him
be
minutes
careful?
right away. If that's what you're asking.